Welcome to Absolutely Marvel in DC. My name's Benny. That's Sal. That's Dylan. I don't know where Dylan puts us on the screen, but whatever. Welcome to our channel where we talk about movies, TV shows, and trailers, and theories, and discussions. And today's going to be one of those discussions. So, all the way back in episode 1, maybe 2, Falcon Winter Soldier, we had an interesting scene. Anthony Mackie's character, Falcon, went to the bank. We discovered they don't get paid.
Right. True.
And not only did they not get paid, that he also there was no income for the 2 years and then the 5 years of the blip, and then he's still not getting paid. This raises a lot of questions about the MCU, and I saw a few articles talking about this, but I want to discuss it with two comic book experts and myself. What's going on? Like, does no one on the Avengers get paid? Is this why Scott Lang can never get out of his apartment?
Right? I mean, it is a nice apartment, to be fair.
That's true.
I know, he's got the drum set.
Apartment.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that certainly post-Stark, no one's getting paid.
Yeah.
But I bet there's one family that is.
What
And that's
the Stark family?
Parkers.
Oh, yeah.
I think that Stark set that up, sometime in between recording sad holograms, to be like, the Starks don't want for anything anymore. So like that's why Pepper Potts wrote that check in Far From Home, and it's like the Starks are the Parkers are taken care of, which is also kind of like, oh, you've changed Spider-Man again. But like outside of that, like I think that Stark was like, no, if you're an Avenger, you get a stipend or a salary. I don't know, but like especially now, like what even is an Avenger? How do you qualify? Who owns the like? Is there even is there a center? Like there is no Avengers anymore.
But the way Falcon made it sound, like they weren't getting checks beforehand. Like he was, what it sounds like, they were all just living on the Avengers compound.
Yes.
And had like the Avengers credit card. Like that was how they lived.
It wasn't even like their card. It was like they were given. It's like Disney bucks. They were given like a wristband, Stark bucks, and they use the Stark band, and they just ding it at any wall, and it like opens up and gives them things they want. Like food or clothing or whatever.
For those who don't know, in the comic book lore, normally Stark does fund the Avengers to some extent. It's normally a minor story moment when he's like, guys, I'm not a billionaire anymore. I'm not a 10 billionaire. I'm a 9 billionaire, so I can't fund the Avengers anymore.
Right.
And then you'll have like two characters that try to get a job, and every other character ignores it.
Yep. Yep. I think it's been established. Like it's certainly during the period of the Avengers that I'm more familiar with, Stark, or at the very least, like somebody wrote them a check. You were paid to be an Avenger.
That makes sense.
But now you're not, and I like how even the bank guy's like, how do you guys deal with money and finances and credit? And he's just like, the good nature of people, like,
right? Yeah, well, that's not gonna last very long.
I do wonder, because you could make the argument that in that scene, that specific scene where he says we get by on the good nature or like the goodwill of people, like maybe he actually did get paid, but he was like lying to this guy just so that he was like the good nature of people, like wink wink,
like yourself.
Maybe, yeah, like you will do this for me because I'm the Falcon. But I don't know. I would love to know the specifics. There's got to be a comic somewhere where we see like Captain America's W-2 or something, and we get like his exact salary. I would love to know how much Captain America made as an Avenger.
Right.
What makes this weird is Vision bought land. How did Vision buy land?
How did he buy anything? Much less get like a stipend for like, or get a deed.
Yeah,
You're not even a person.
So Vision and Wanda have money, because Wanda's also driving around in a nice car in a nice leather outfit. Those aren't cheap. All right, I've looked into leather outfits.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Don't look into that. Anyway. But, so, obviously, they had money. Ant-Man somehow always has money. Like,
yeah, I think I don't know how that happens.
Which one? Hank or Scott?
Hank.
Scott.
I think Scott. I think Hank pays Scott.
Yes. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the thing that would make the most sense to me is at least when Stark was around. Like I think Stark probably didn't put them on payroll. Like they had room and board, and the compound was just
cafeteria.
stocked, or they had food and they had a place to sleep. And if they ever wanted to like buy an Xbox, they probably had to like submit a request or something.
Yeah.
But in the commercial, Falcon has money to buy the Xbox. So
I don't know if that's canon.
no, it is established canon. It is, because that's the noob whatever that was fighting Thor in Infinity War or Endgame.
But I don't know. I think the writers just don't care about like.
Yeah, they don't think about it.
No, which is fair. I mean, like, nobody really needs to think about where these people get their money. I think the only time that comes into question is when you want to make a character rich or you want to make a character broke. And then you can get into the specifics of...
So for this, they wanted Falcon to be broke. Because at the exact same time, Falcon literally can't get a loan and says he doesn't have money, right? He has no money. But he's also working... What was he working pro bono? To kill those guys at the beginning?
Weird thing.
Yeah.
He's definitely a government contractor at this point. Like, is he just...
They established that in the beginning. Yeah. The government's really holding me out, man. I haven't filled out the right form, and then I had to go to the top,
Like, in Winter Soldier, Captain America is, at this point, he's an Avenger, and he's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. So he's clearly getting money from at least and he has an apartment. So, like, he's making money from somewhere.
Yeah. I assume that when you do that kind of mission, you get like a stipend or something. You get like some kind of like check. But outside of that, he is a free agent, so to speak, a free agent superhero.
But the guy's like, you have had no income. Like, isn't that the line that was used? You have no income for the last...
Yeah, but like technically that's true. It's like if all he has are 1099s. They're interspersed throughout the year. That ain't an income. That's just some money.
He could have like $300 in his bank account and still say, I don't have any money, because they're trying to like buy like a boat or like keep paying the loans on a boat, which is
they're trying to get an extended bank loan turn it into a charter. Right. Yeah. But here's a boggle my mind about this and why I want to discuss and get your guys' opinions on it. Bucky has an apartment and he's like I don't picture Bucky's like a morning barista. Like, can you picture like Bucky goes to Starbucks and he's like, green creme latte, Sal. Right, yeah.
I honestly believe that Bucky has a bank account from 1945. That when he finally woke up, he's like, the interest rate makes him a millionaire.
Okay, that one I could at least buy. Like,
because he was especially like because the relationship that they show is like Bucky's kind of the smart like adult one out of the two of them, out of him and Steve. Yeah. So I would not be surprised if he had like a couple stocks like back from the 40s that just blew up over time.
Right?
He bought this Apple thing. He really thought oranges were going to take off. But
honestly, here's the thing, because he was probably legally declared dead after the 40s.
Yeah.
So he may not have had access to his bank accounts, but he may have had physical stocks that were just in his apartment or that were left to his family. And it could be that maybe his family took over his affairs. Maybe he has family that like has been managing it the whole time. And we haven't seen anybody. He says he has nobody, but like, nobody really.
The Barnes estate just ended with Bucky.
Right. The Barnes line is over.
It's possible they put it in like a safety box somewhere.
That's true.
Like in the 50s or 60s, and it's just been there.
Okay, so we've answered Bucky. We've answered things like Scott. Scott's getting from Hank Pym. We've answered a lot of people. But it sounds to me like, in all honesty, because Vision and Wanda obviously were smart with whatever money they made. Maybe Vision's a robot and just like manipulated the stock market, and he's like, now I own the deal.
He could have stole it. Maybe Wanda just created money.
I wouldn't be surprised. Wanda seems like the kind of person who's just like, what? The money I just make it. Why?
Yeah.
Do you need more? Here you go. And it's like, you're destabilizing the economy with magic.
That's not how this works.
So, okay. So we've established that Cap, he was still an Army captain, although that made no sense. He should have been like a general by the time that we were in the Avengers. General America. But whatever, he's Captain America. Tony obviously had all his money, and he's taking care of the Parkers. So it sounds to me like, in all honesty, everyone is fine except Falcon. Like, everyone is getting taken care of and everything. And just, Like, I just picture behind the scenes, like the Avengers land and everyone's like, let's go to a party. And he's just like, could someone spot me? Like, no one's still paying me, guys. Like, I'm just kind of hanging out with you all. Like,
maybe he's just the one that's really bad with his money. And he just like didn't invest, didn't save anything. He just spent it all on new wings or something.
I mean, Sam seems like the kind of
wing polish is expensive.
Every time you see Sam's just excited. He's like, "Woo! I'm in the Avengers. Let's do this." He just shows up. He's like, "Woo!" They're like, "Yeah, man. Okay." It was like when I was in college, and people used to say to me like, I'd be like, "Whoa, let's go hang out, let's go party," and they're like, "Don't you have a paper? I'm in your class. We have the same paper, dude." I'm like, "Yeah, who cares?" Like. You know, the Avengers like, dude, you know, we're not Avengers 24/7. I have a job. Like, I gotta go. Don't you have work to do? What are you talking about? Aren't we getting paid? I haven't checked my account in like weeks. You're probably broke, dude.
Probably in the red. I feel like War Machine is the one who's probably the smartest with his money, because he's like always been still like part of the Air Force, and is just like the Avengers is his side gig. Like, he shows up when he's needed, but he's like got that solid like tenure.
I mean, he did get
I like the
court-martialed,
security of the Air Force check, so I don't want to ruin that. So Tony, I'll be at the Avengers meetup on Saturday, but I gotta go. I gotta go to the weekend safety briefing for my unit.
Yeah. I will point out, apparently, so in the comics, there is the Maria Stark Foundation, and the Maria Stark Foundation is typically viewed as a slush fund for the Avengers, and they are paid a weekly stipend check.
Okay.
But it's not just a tax shelter for Stark's like overflow. It is also funded by public donations. It's like a PAC for the Avengers, or a super PAC. So like private donations can be made to the Avengers by charitable organizations or private donors to help keep the Avengers afloat. So it could be that, like, it's not necessarily that Stark Industries is paying the Avengers, but rather that there is, like, an Avengers super PAC out there that is bolstered by the Maria Stark Foundation, or by Stark Industries, because nobody's talked about the Maria Stark Foundation in the MCU. So it could be that, like, there's an Avengers super PAC, and it is donated to by outfits, and that could be an episode of like of the Falcon Winter Soldier, where they're like, how are we paying for these like plane rides? I mean, obviously Zemo's doing that, but like, you know, it's not all Zemo money. And it's like, oh, well, there's an Avengers, you know, fund that we just dip into when we need to. And it's like, what? And then he looks at it and it's like, who's funding this thing? And then you find out like, oh, actually AIM is funding it. Oh no, we're owned by AIM. Like,
right.
That could be interesting.
I just find it interesting because nobody ever thinks about how the Avengers or the Justice League or anybody gets paid. No one really thinks about it. But the show made it a point. It's a plot point that they're not paid. So that makes it like, okay, well, now we got to discuss this. You've brought up something that no one ever thought to care about. I mean, no one sat around going, how is Parker?
This?
Yeah. How is Parker paying for that science school? Aunt May lives in an apartment in Brooklyn, and she's like talking about how she's got to work 3 shifts, and Parker's over here in the science school.
First of all, it's Queens. Secondly, he has a scholarship because he's smart, because he invented web shooters. But yeah. So
I wonder if it was brought up so that at the ending, Zemo's going to give something to Falcon. That's what I'm wondering, if that's why it was brought. Like Falcon's the forgotten Avenger with no money, and at the ending, Zemo's like, here's $1 million. I'm Zemo.
I bought you the boat.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's gonna come back. I think maybe the boat thing will like return, and they'll resolve like that with his sister and everything. But I think the point of them saying that Sam doesn't have any money is A, just because that's like funny and it's interesting, hence this discussion, and B, it's just to show that, you know, the world is in a different state, and even an Avenger is having a tough time.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because I feel like this show, like everything after Endgame is focusing a little bit on like people who come back post-blip, like what is the world like for them, because they'll find like, you know, people in their apartment, or their
they
financial...
keep hinting at it. They keep hinting at that. We had a hint of it in Wanda. We've got a hint of it here, but they haven't just sat down and said, here's what's going on, viewer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting annoyed at the fun hints at it, but I would love to see a show that really just explores that. Give me like the cast of the Friends came back from after the blip, and they're just trying to like move back into their apartments. Like, show me that story.
I feel like they don't want to do that. I feel like they loved the idea of that 5 years later sting, but that's it. And they needed to give the Avengers like personal emotional stakes halfway through the movie, and that nowadays they're just kind of like, it's too big to ignore, but God, I love to, because it's really kind of like making things frustrating, because I just want to get back to telling these stories. Like, I want to do Fantastic Four. I don't want to. That being said, I'll bet the Fantastic Four were blipped.
Yeah, I think
who knows?
I think the blip itself, like the 5-year time skip, is genius to me, just because it informs the rest of that movie. It was very surprising at the time, which I think was expertly handled by their marketing team, and it's something that you can, like, it's a status quo shift that is so comic book and is so like perfect setup to inform like what could be a phase 4. And I think I'm totally cool with like the small like doses of information we're getting about it, because it's not really important. Like, it's there if you want to use it to inform a character. Like, if the Fantastic Four were blipped, or if like a character was maybe the Fantastic Four come out of like maybe Reed wasn't blipped, but the rest of them were, and that causes like them to, when they come back, it's like, oh, Reed's I've been working on stuff, or something, like, there's drama that you can make out of it, or interesting changes that you can do out of something like that. But it's just like a really versatile plot device that doesn't need to be fully explained, but
that's why I would love to see it explained in something else. I wouldn't want to see it explained. Like, I want Falcon Winter Soldier to be about Falcon Winter Soldier. We laugh that he's got no money. That's what I want. Like,
We like, maybe we'll have Louise explain it one day, but otherwise, that's kind of all we're gonna do.
All right, man.
Which is fine. Like, I would love that. But I think you're right. I think it's like the multiverse thing, where it's like, it's just something we use when we need to, and when we don't refer to it.
Yep.
I think it should, because the point of it was not like the 5-year time skip was not the point. The point was that the 5-year time skip caused things to happen to characters. Like, Black Widow got severely depressed. Everyone in the world got severely depressed. Like, it's not.
Captain Marvel got a haircut.
The thing. That's true. She got a few haircuts, according to Rocket.
That's true.
It's something. It's a plot device that should be used to serve a larger point, which I think in Falcon and Winter Soldier it is that a lot of people's financial decisions or financial situations were like drastically rearranged because they were gone for 5 years.
Right.
So
I was just going to say really quick, another like genius thing about the 5-year time skip is that it takes a long time for movies to come out, so like it will align with itself again. Like, we watched a whole movie where they were like, 2013, remember that? And it's like literally like you will have movies coming out in the MCU that will, movies and shows that will literally be the same time as you're watching it.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be this weird thing where it's like stuff happened and we can't refer to it, or we can't. It'll take me out of it because it's so long ago or it's so far in the future. Like, no, it's a perfect amount of time where eventually all the movies will align and we won't have the time skip anymore.
It's like all of Marvel Netflix like takes place like in 2013, and
that would have been great.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird, though, that Marvel Netflix took place. Like, by the time we get to the 4th show, and they're like, remember that alien invasion? Guys, like...
It happened like 3 months ago.
What if they did this? Marvel Netflix took place during the blip. They're the only ones who didn't get blipped out during the 5 years.
That would be
And that's
strange.
why no one refers to it and why no one shows up in those movies. Or in those shows.
Somehow, like, New York just, like, went back to talking about the Battle of New York for, like, 5 years. It's like,
well, they keep referring to it because they don't remember. They're like, I mean, who cares about Simcaria or Wakanda, whatever the hell country's lifted in the air? I can't even name the damn place, much less remember it. But I do remember when the Chitauri blew up my hot dog stand.
All right, well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our discussion about the finances of the Avengers and why is Falcon poor?
Yeah, like, what the hell?
That's basically the whole episode here, because it turns out, with a quick analysis, he should be the only one who doesn't have money, and it sounds like he just missed payday. Like they all showed up for payday, and he was just like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna run to the store real quick, and I'll be back for that." Just forgot. Like,
Spelled his name wrong on the check.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. Please stick around to Absolutely Marvel and DC as we discuss everything about your favorite CW shows, movies, Disney Plus shows, trailers, and whatever else we want to discuss here on the channel, because that's what we're doing here. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.